Hello and welcome. I want to start today's live stream with a disclaimer and a warning for all of those who feel that this would be fear mongering, this would be me spreading negativity, this would be me spreading some sort of fear and push you guys into buying consultation services, etc., etc., etc. Then this video is not for you guys because you guys get triggered quite easily. So please, you can jump out of the screen, go to some other fan page and do something else better with your time, because this one is not going to be for you. For everybody else who would like to understand what all is happening with Canadian immigration, what all is happening with IRCC, what are they up to with it on this week and earlier, and why is it that the number of refusals that are going up in all different types of categories of applications? I'm talking about visit visa, study permits, work permits, PR applications, all kinds of PR applications, super visas. Even super visas are now seeing an increasing number of refusals, which was otherwise not happening that much. But you would wonder that if they have a fixed immigration target and they are issuing such high number of invitations, then they obviously want these people. So then where is the reason that suddenly this IRCC version 3.0 is 3.0? Why is it that they have suddenly become so much more stricter, so much more, stringent? I like the fact that they're stringent. I like the fact that they're more diligent, that they are being quite thorough with their applications. I like that, because that shows that somebody is doing the job right. But they are borderline reckless, if I would say so. And at times it just feels as if they're working on some quota system, that each officer is given the day or in the morning at the start of their shift, that hey, today you must refuse 20 PR applications, 50 visit visa applications, 20 work permit applications, something of that sort, right? It's like a manic situation with the officers right now. At least that's what I think, because I don't see any other reason why they're going on a rampage of refusing applications. As I said, in many cases, borderline reckless. Anyways, so we'll talk about that. PFLs is becoming like a joke. Every single day I'm seeing more than one PFLs, and sometimes when I look at a PFL, sometimes I'm like, excellent, way to go IRCC, that's what you've done. You've done the right job. You've done it right. It's obvious, but I can't say that to the client because the client is asking for solutions. So I can't tell the client, IRCC has done such a good job. But then, of course, the idea is to help the client figure out the solution as to how to get out of that one, in the sense of, do they have the right merit? Do they have the right factors to be able to get out of this one? But more and more, increasingly, the PFLs have gone up. The refusals have gone up. Everybody, almost, for every single refusal, social media helps, and they go for a reconsideration request, which basically now means that the pipelines are clogged with requests for reconsiderations. With obviously the applications backlog is already existing. We have more than 1 million applications which are in a backlog anyways. But reconsideration requests are putting additional pressure. Now, reconsideration requests where IRCC has made a mistake, where they have skewed up, right? You can call out their BS. You can tell them, officer, you've really made a big mistake over here. This is the reason. This is the error that you have made in fact, or this is the error you have made in law, or this is the error you have made in interpretation. Kindly change and reconsider. It's a request, but for some reason, people feel it is the remedy, that they have to do it, that they must do it. Like, let's take a chance, right? So I understand taking a chance option. But when you really understand that this IRCC was absolutely right in refusing your application, then there is no chance business. Then you are simply just clogging that line. And the sooner you understand this, you would be less disappointed and you would start preparing for the alternatives. But let's take a look at, in no specific order. So this is not like this is the most applications getting refused or this is the reason. I have a list here. And of course, please, by all means, in the comments, I would like to see if anybody else wants to jump in. The first one, and it continues, and this one is spouse not accompanying. You already guys know about it. The best one is people when they book a consultation and they ask, so what do you think I should give a reason for my spouse to not accompany me? Like, I can't give you a reason why your spouse is not accompanying you while he or she was in Canada all this while, and you've been extending their work permits, you've been extending their stays, and they're with you. Even if they now choose to leave and go back to their home country, you really think IRCC doesn't know what you're trying to do, that the spouse leaves just, at the time when you receive your IT or just before the IT or during that whole process? IRCC is aware, they know exactly what's happening. The whole point of accompanying, not accompanying, when this whole express entry system was designed, was meant to help those people or those couples or those spouses which have a situation which is really, really making it difficult for one or the other to be in Canada or to want to immigrate. And that's the whole purpose. It was never thought, they never realized, they never felt that people will actually be doing it because they wanted to gain more points. And therefore, now that they have caught on to it, I mean, they knew it from a very long time. I don't think it was that much of a problem, but with over the last few years where scores are just going out of hand, people, you know what they say, right? Desperate times calls for desperate measures. So people have been doing everything possible to increase their scores and then realize it. And refusals have been coming in plentism. This one is also borderline manic, and the reason, or reckless, I would say. And the reason for that is, nowhere in the immigration law it says that your spouse has to accompany you. Now, whether you're doing it for points, whether you're doing it for any other reason, whatever the reason might be, in your immigration application, it should be your choice whether your spouse is accompanying you, and your spouse's choice whether the spouse wants to accompany you or not. And for that, you should not be penalized. At least that's the way I look at it. Now, a lot of people have a lot of things. No, you are gaming the system. I understand you're gaming the system, but the system is there to be gamed, in the sense like you have built it in the system. You are saying it that if you do not accompany your spouse, we will give you more points. So it's the system. Change the system if you don't want people to do it, right? Just make it easier or better, or something which people do not abuse it or game it. So this one is also on you, IRCC. I mean, you cannot come out and blame people. And then you are refusing the applications on section 11.1. You're refusing section 16, which is all duty for your honesty, I mean, you have to be candor with your truthfulness. You have to provide complete information truthfully, honestly. You're refusing on the section of 41, which is non-compliance. How are they being non-compliant? Right? They're simply telling you, we do not want our spouse to accompany us. So if they tell you they don't want to do it because of the points, you're refusing the application. If they tell you the spouse doesn't want to be in Canada, you're refusing the application. If they tell you the spouse has got some things to do back in their home country, you're refusing the application. So what are people going to do? But this continues to be a reason where I'm seeing a lot of refusals coming through. Even now, PFLs, refusals, it continues. Next one, which I'm sure most of you are already aware, is knock codes. I mean, by now we all know knock codes is pretty obvious, right? I mean, in your work experience documents, period of work, the fact that it is paid work experience, the fact that your knock code is validated by way of your duties and responsibilities, this you have to provide. This is like, from time immemorial, we have been talking about this ever since express entry system is being discussed, that you have to provide these informations. It's part of the immigration regulations, ministerial instructions. It's there everywhere. You have to provide this. So if you are going to miss out on any of this, then expect a refusal, not even a PFL. You will not get PFL. A lot of people are surprised that why did IRCC not ask them for documents? Well, they are not obligated to ask you for documents when you have missed out on the minimum requirements or the minimum criteria in the first place. They are not obligated to ask you for it. So don't be shocked if your application gets refused because you chose the wrong knock code. You did not provide documentation which validates these three factors, at least third party, independently verifiable factors. Providing a self-declaration doesn't help. So if your employer did not give it to you and you provide a declaration saying, I, Kubeir Kamal, confirm that I was working as a vice president for this company and these were my roles and responsibilities. Like, on what grounds is IRCC supposed to accept it? I can call myself engineer, astronaut, scientist, doctor, I don't know, senior manager, or whatsoever, right? I can self-attest myself and say I was doing the. How can IRCC validate and verify? So self-attestations don't work, irrespective of what a lot of social media posts will tell you. So it becomes your responsibility. Again, continues to be one reason why people who do copy pastes, right? So you will tell your employer, or you will send it to your employer by copy pasting the duties from the NOC website. You'll put it on your letter, draft it, send it to your employer, say please sign it and send it. Recipe for disaster. Now we are seeing closely matching, or a closely worded means you thought, let me be smart, let me, you know what, take the NOC duties and responsibilities and I will just twist it a little bit. I will not completely change it because it has to match. So I will just twist it a little bit. Words here and there, play around with a couple of words, use a synonym, use a thesaurus, just go with that. IRCC is refusing those applications, saying that they are so closely worded that it cannot be trusted that this is genuine work experience. How can a company who is so far away is actually being able to give you duties which are so closely matching with the NOC? So also a problem. Then we had the issue with the companies that have completely shut down or have closed down or don't exist or don't have any online presence. I mean, don't exist obviously is a problem anyways, but don't have online presence, cannot be independently verified, cannot, you do not provide contact details, it's not on the company letterhead, the contact information is missing, so these small nuggets which would actually allow IRCC to validate. In today's day and time, imagine very recently a web development company that doesn't have a website. I mean, that makes you go like, really? How? It's a web development company which is selling website services and it doesn't have a website. So you can't really blame IRCC for not believing that your work experience is genuine, can you? So now, if you are in a situation where you have a company or you have an employer who doesn't maintain, okay, now there is again, I have to say that there is no mandatory requirement that your employer has to have online presence. It helps for sure, and in today's day and time where everybody is on social media, it definitely helps, right? On the contrary, because it's so prevalent, if your company is not if it doesn't have a digital presence, then you have to question why. If you are in a position such as this, then please be aware. So do your own research before you submit your application. Even if you're hiring a consultant or a lawyer or whatever, you don't expect them to go around looking and verifying your application or your employment details. So for your own self, for your own sake, if you have such an employer who doesn't maintain online presence, digital presence at all, then start thinking of what other documentation you can provide upfront and submit it as part of your application. If it's business license, if it's GST, HST registrations, if it's pictures, if it's about you working, if it's about affidavits from the owners or whatever that might be, if you can independently search the common, the publicly available registry documentation, or if they are part of some sort of, I don't know, professional organizations or professional institutions or associations, then registrations over there. All of this will help you to provide alternate proof. So in this case, if the application gets refused, one, reconsideration can work. Hey, because I've given you all of this information, why didn't you consider this? Number two, judicial review is a good remedy. But of course, judicial review is long, expensive, and an arduous process. So I'm not sure if you want to go that way, but these are the ways to go around it. Very interesting one came today, and this was inconsistent profiles. And for the first time, I mean, I have been one of those people who have said that consultants do not have a reason to create duplicate profiles, right? We've always been talking about it. Hey, how come so many people are adding into the pool? And we've always been saying that consultants create profiles. And I'm like, why would consultants create too many profiles? I mean, there is no benefit for the consultants. It's too much of work. Why would you go and create more and more profiles? But today, during a consultation, somebody actually gave me proof. And I was like, oh my God, I never really thought somebody could do that or was doing this. So, but this is where it is, right? So if it is a licensed consultant, I doubt it they will do it, because they would have to create these multiple profiles in their own portal, which basically means there is a digital footprint and it can be tracked back to them. So whenever IRCC wants to come down on such players, those consultants can get into trouble. So I would really doubt any licensed immigration consultants or lawyers or practitioners would indulge in this. But in this case, it was also proven this was not a licensed immigration consultant. This was actually one of those ghost consultants, agents, you want to call them, whatever you want to call them, right? So one of those characters who, for this person, they guaranteed that we will get you an ITA on the basis. So what they did is, for the same person, they created a profile under STEM category, under trade category, and under healthcare category, and under the education category. And eventually this person got the ITA under the healthcare category, which was actually this person's genuine work experience. Can you believe that? And then what they did is that they withdrew the other profiles. Now, when this person then actually submitted their application under the healthcare category, is now got it refused. Why? And outright, they did get a PFL, and this person did respond to the PFL. But of course, IRCC is saying, you know what? For the same period of time, you were in this healthcare position, but at the same point of time, you were also working as a cybersecurity specialist. You were also working as a welder. You were also working as an early childhood educator. How? At the same point of time, in the same months, same years, you were doing 4 different jobs. And when you have submitted your application, there is no trace of the other 3 jobs. How? And of course, when this person tried to explain, there is, what kind of explanation are you going to give, right, in such cases? Plus, you have been working with a unlicensed or a ghost consultant, which is also misrepresentation because you haven't disclosed that in your application. So now this person is lucky that they got away with only refusal, did not get a ban for 5 years. Lucky, absolute lucky, because I would have thought this is pure grounds for misrepresentation. And I would have thought this is an isolated case when I had a back-to-back 2 consultations, and it was a whammy because both had similar situations. Not from same countries, not same nationalities, not same agents, not same consultants, but they both had similar situations. And so this is definitely more prevalent than you would think, but that's what's happening. So guys, if you are thinking of doing this, and this also happens with people who want to create duplicate profile, one with spouse accompanying and one with spouse unaccompanying. I mean, this is a definite silly thing to do, because if you get invited in spouse unaccompanying and you have another profile with spouse accompanying, IRCC has your profiles. You can't delete your profiles once submitted. You can't. Go and try it. You can revoke your GC key, but the system will keep it. It will not go anywhere. Same way, if you are one of those guys who are thinking you're very smart and you would want to take advantage of different things, and your employer is willing to help you, your employer will give you any knock code you want, any duties you want. There are a lot of you out there, right? So please note that every time you create your profile and you submit, it has digital record. It's leaving a digital footprint. Everything is recorded. Everything is available to IRCC to check. So this is another of those reasons where applications are getting refused. And then there was this one which actually foxed me completely, and I've spent the last few days researching as to how. Because so the situation here is that people who are working in Canada, they are gaining Canadian experience. But at the same point of time, we know about remote work experience. That's all good. These people also, because they wanted to gain more points, they also started studying online through a university outside Canada, right? So a master's degree, bachelor's degree, diploma. Why? Because if you are a +2 in Canada, you do a bachelor's degree, you get more points. If you have a bachelor's degree, you are in Canada. If you get a diploma from outside Canada, you don't want to study in Canada, you get more points. You could be on a closed work permit, you could be on an open work permit. If you are in Canada and you're working, you've got your postgraduate work permit, but you want to get a master's degree from outside Canada because it could be cheaper, it could be faster, easier, and you could study online and you could get points, right, with your WES or ECA or whatever. And this has happened. This is legit in the sense, like, you can study online, right? Nothing stops you from doing it. This has been happening for quite some time, and I have had quite a few clients which this was never a problem. But recently, IRCC is coming down on this one as well, and this also is borderline manic for me. As far as I'm concerned, this is reckless from IRCC, because they are quoting section 87.1 subsection 3 subsection A, and you can find that on the IRCC website, where it says that if you are working in Canada then any period of full-time studies will make that work experience in Canada ineligible for any points. Again, we are talking about studies that are being completed or from a university outside Canada. You are studying in Canada. Now IRCC is saying that the studies that you are doing outside Canada, because we are considering it as full-time, therefore we will not give you points for your work experience in Canada. Now that is huge. You could have gained 2 years or 3 years of Canadian experience. For IRCC to say we will not consider this entire period of work. This is a huge whammy, right? I mean, come on, this is not a joke. You just wanted to get those 15 points extra. Now you are losing out on 53 points for 2 years or whatever that might be. Huge. So again, this is another one of those situations where the immigration law 87.1 subsection 3 subsection A, whenever this was designed, whenever this was created, they never expected people who are working in Canada would be studying outside Canada through distance learning to gain extra points. This was never the fathers of Express Entry, the founders of Express Entry and the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, when they were designing and creating, they never thought these scenarios was ever going to happen. But then this was happening way back in 2015, 2014, and in that point of time. They never thought in 2026 we are going to be so desperate for points that we will do everything. And this has technically worked. There has never been a problem. I think I have, and this one is pretty interesting because let me see if I can pull up and show. I'll do this because it's quite interesting. Stop screen, share screen. Where is my screen window? This one. Okay, so this is the one. I have reviewed the application, it says, and if you see application here, for the purposes of subsection 2, any period of employment during which the foreign national was engaged in full-time study shall not be included in calculating a period of work experience. You have indicated that they had studied full-time between so-and-so, and the proof of employment shows that your Canadian experience was acquired between the same period. Therefore, we are not accepting your work experience points, and therefore, we are refusing your application. There you go. This was the one. I mean, I'm just trying to make it bigger, so if you wanted to read, you can read. You want to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot. So this was the refusal, right? And then I have another thing to show you. Let me see if I can find that. Usually I keep these things ready, but I wasn't planning to do this particular segment. So let me see if I can find that for you, because this one is very interesting. You really like it. Hold on. Bear with me. Come on. I can't find it. We need to find it. And this, what I'm going to show you now is courtesy, and I have to give the credit where it is due. This is courtesy, another RCIC, fellow RCIC. Her name is Gurpreet Oshan, and she shared these ATIP notes with me, where IRCC themselves have very clearly clarified that if you are studying online, yeah, I can share the screen. Okay, I hope you can see it. It says, and this is the ATIP notes, which IRCC's authorized representative mailbox. So as authorized representatives, we can send IRCC's our question, and IRCC representatives do respond back to us specifically. So this was one of those. And here it says, please note that a period of distance learning that does not require an in-Canada portion of the course or program, such as an online degree at a foreign educational institution, is not considered study for the purposes of paragraphs 15(7)(a). As such, full-time or part-time foreign distance learning is not applicable when calculating Canadian work experience. Canadian work experience, therefore, may be accumulated while full-time studying online for a degree from a foreign country. Again, please take a screenshot so that you have it for your reference, so that you know this is legit what I'm saying. Now, what does that tell you? This tells you that within IRCC itself, they themselves are confused, or they themselves are choosing to interpret certain sections of the law with much more rigidity. Now, I did make a video on this yesterday, and I think did post yesterday as well. But this screenshot I've just received this morning, and therefore I'm sharing it with you, where IRCC themselves have confirmed through an authorized representative mailbox, which has a proper audit track, where they say that, hey, education that you have studied outside Canada, that doesn't count for your calculation of Canadian work experience. Please don't worry, your work experience inside Canada will still count. But the officers who are working on your applications, for example, they are not getting these emails, they are not getting these memos or letters, and they are going ahead and refusing the applications. We have seen 2 refusals I think within the last 2 weeks. And again, it's a worrying concern, because I know I have personally, on the same understanding that you can actually study online and you can claim, I have personally advised people that yes, you can do it. It's legit. There is no problem with it. And then can you imagine how much of a whammy I get when I understand and realize that whatever I have guided, actually there's a backtrack on that, and this IRCC is now refusing applications. So it's really, it's really sad and regretful when that happens. But this is the examples of how IRCC is choosing to refuse applications. But now this is PR applications. Super visa applications, they are saying because you have strong family connection in Canada, therefore we are refusing your super visa application. I'm like, are you serious? Super visa application is for a Canadian permanent resident or a citizen child who wants to bring their parent to Canada to live with them for a longer duration of time. That is super visa, parents or grandparents. And you are refusing the super visa because you are saying you have strong family connection in Canada. Sometimes I'm telling you, we have a severe headache. My head explodes when I see those kind of refusals. There's another applicant who had such excellent finances, okay? Very, very strong finances, right? We're talking lakhs and lakhs and lakhs of Indian rupees in their account, fluid statement, working for a very senior position at a very senior level with a very big company, having very good length of employment. It was not like just got to that position. Very strong financials, very strong everything. Application refused because you do not have sufficient finances. I mean, when you do not identify or define the meaning of sufficient finances, then on what basis do you refuse an application saying you didn't have sufficient finances? Just ridiculous. Now, postgraduate work permits continue to be refused because you do not have your English language results, right? So that one, I'm sure most of you have already heard about. That's a real whammy again, because imagine an international student studies for 2, 3, 4 years, applies for postgraduate work permit. There is no place to upload English language results. So that person, it doesn't occur to them to upload their English language. Not that they don't have it, they have taken it. Some of them actually think that that IELTS or British Council is actually going to send their results directly to IRCC because they have their passport number, everything. But these postgraduate work permits get refused when? Not in a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. They get refused 10 months later. Now, when they get refused 10 months later, then this person, if this person wants to reapply for another postgraduate work permit because the first one got refused, cannot reapply because now they have completed their studies, which has been more than 180 days since their studies have completed. So now they are no longer eligible to apply for your postgraduate work permit. Whose fault is that? Okay, first fault applicant because they did not upload the English language results, but you took 10 months. 10 months, ridiculous, 10 months to process an application, and now you are unwilling to give this person another chance. You are unwilling to make a new application, allow them to make a new application for postgraduate because this person is outside the 180 days period. This person has slogged their backsides, studied hard, probably is a good A student, and after having done all of that, for this simple error and for your mistake because you did not process the application for 10 months long, 10 long months, and now this person is tough out of luck. That's IRCC for you. That's IRCC version 3.0. Sometimes it makes you think, are these people really thinking, or are they thinking out of their shoes? I don't know how to say anything else. Yeah, so sometimes it's really frustrating when you do the kind of work that we do, because, and then how do you explain it to your client, right? That IRCC is suddenly changing the rule book. Until yesterday, they were accepting, they were doing this, and not today, they are suddenly saying we will not do this. And day after tomorrow, then they will say something completely different. So at this point of time, when everything is so volatile, it's so dynamic, and IRCC is behaving in such a cruel manner, they're like worse than certain Indian Bollywood villains, right? Who are like so unpredictable. So therefore, the suggestion here is that no, I am not trying to sell you any immigration services. Please, no, this is not that point. So the suggestion here is when you do your application, and if you're doing it yourself for sure, the research component of your application is now so critical that I can't even explain to you. And when I'm saying research, I do not mean watching TikTok reels of an influencer who themselves are just dancing and prancing around Niagara Falls and trying to tell you that, hey, easy PR because you can learn French and get your PR. Hey, you see, people are 300s are getting their PR. So easy PR. So those kind of influencers, if you're going to follow them for immigration advice, then I don't know what to tell you. Then let's not talk about the PFLs and refusals you will get. So if you're going to do your research, Reddit is also not the place to do your research. Facebook is also not to do your place to do your research. Though actually, no, I'll take my words back. Facebook, Reddit, it can help if you're talking to people who have gone through the same experience. Otherwise, please just go through IRCC website. There are so many different places, and I will show you a couple of them. There are so many different places on the IRCC website where if you will look at what all is available, you will be able to see so many different things. Let me just show you this particular page. And I would like you to take a screenshot so that you can see what all is available. Now, this is operational instructions and guidelines. These are available for all kinds of applications that IRCC governs, right? You can go through the refugee protection, temporary residence program, citizenship, permanent residence, standard requirements, language. It has all kinds of operational manuals. You have everything here. Even for me, even if I have to sometimes figure out what I will do in certain cases, this is the place that I would go to, right? For example, let me just see this one. If I go to permanent residence, it will then open up long list of what kind of applications, economic classes, non-economic classes, permanent resident cards, everything is here. If I click on economic classes, it will tell me what all is again available. Federal skilled workers, Canadian experience class, federal skilled trade category, startup business class, self-employment, everything is here. Quebec economic classes, provincial nominees, AIP, caregiver classes, RCIP, everything is here. Again, if I just click on Canadian experience class, it opens up all the other descriptions. If I say assessing against the selection criteria, it will give me more details. I can then say qualifying skilled work experience in Canada, and here it is, right? All the details based on which how IRCC officer, because even IRCC officer will have to follow the manual, will have to follow the rule book, and how they will be assessing your application is all here. So my recommendation, if at all you ever go, please take a look. Publications and manuals, operational instructions and guidelines, that's where you're going to come. Operational instructions and guidelines, and this is where you will find all the information. This is the rule book. So this is where you can go. This is one, and then there is another one which I like to follow. Let me see if I can find that one. I don't have it on my bookmark here. Is it this one? Let me see. No. I will find it because I have to show it to you now. Hold on. Yeah, found it. Again, IRCC website, get your documents ready. This is for express entry. It will tell you everything you need to get for your documentation for your application. If I will say proof of funds, it will tell you what you need for your proof of funds. Who needs it? How much do you need? Etc. etc. If you say language test results, it will tell you what you need, from where you need, how you need it. Everything's here. Get your documents ready, and you move on from there. Okay, that's how you got to do your research. Check ministerial instructions if you have to. On Facebook, especially, we have a Facebook group, pretty good, approximately 300,000 people there, and we moderate it quite strictly, so you don't really see a lot of rubbish going on over there, but a lot of people willing to help, willing to assist, willing to talk, willing to share their experiences, tell you what may work, what may not work, so do join those. Reddit, I find it very toxic, so people express their opinions more than helping you, so again, take it with a pinch of salt, but talk to people who really have the experience, who have done it. This is the case where are facing a situation or an issue where your documentation is not as per the IRCC requirements, as per the website that I just showed you. In that case, discuss, talk, research, figure out, find out. Do not blindly submit your application. And nowadays, the mantra is more is less. Means if you do not have sufficient documents, throw everything, throw the whole book at IRCC, all kinds of documents, performance reviews, salary slips, employment offers, everything that you can think of, which will further help in proving that your work experience is genuine. Throw that book on IRCC so that they cannot say that you did not provide us with sufficient documents. That's what I have for you for today. We've been talking for 45 minutes. Okay, so yeah. For people who do not know who are joining for the first time, my name is Kubeir. I'm a CICC licensed immigration consultant. I do run my own immigration company, of course. askkubeir.com/consultation. If you wish to book your appointments, consultations, one-on-one, then please use this link. Instagram here, YouTube here. Don't book a consultation if you're just going to ask me for your chances or your PR options. And the reason why I'm saying that is not because I don't want to help you, but the chances are you would already know that there aren't too many options. You would already know that because you've already seen, you already checked. And if you're going to pay me a lot of money just for me to repeat the same thing, I don't have any hidden pathways, hidden keys, doors to open. I don't have job offers. I don't have any employers who are going to suddenly make it easier for you. I don't have any of that. So I'm telling you right now, please don't book if you're looking for that. But if you're in a complex situation, if you're trying to struggle to figure out what you need to do in terms of your documentation, if your process, or there is some situation where you can't really understand what needs to be done, by all means, please do book. We'll be very happy to discuss. And if you're looking to hire an immigration consultant, then that's the email. Drop us an email and we'll be very happy to represent you for your applications. Now, onwards to the questions. Okay. See, let's start with this one. What do I say? I got a refusal because 6-month bank statement is missing. Can I apply a reconsideration somehow? This is exactly what I was trying to tell you. First of all, I don't know what kind of application we are talking. Are we talking about PR application? Are we talking about visit visa application? Are we talking about study permit? When you say 6 months, I'm going to assume that you're outside Canada. You are supposed to show your proof of funds, and this is what's happening. Now, proof of funds comes under procedural fairness. So again, depending on what you have provided already to IRCC, depending on what you missed out, depending on what you haven't provided, this could go for reconsideration, this could not. But chances of reconsideration in something so basic which you did not provide upfront looks difficult. So if you have a chance to reapply, then that would be a much faster route. But again, the whole point is you got a refusal because 6 months bank statement is missing. So what else did you provide? That will define whether reconsideration may work, may not work. If you did not provide anything at all, or if you provided something really, really basic, which did not make any sense to IRCC at all, then it might not really work. But this is where you really need to be very careful with the kind of documentation you provide. They refused study permits, said can't apply from inside Canada. Well, again, you see now, I don't know what we are talking about here. They refuse study permits, they can't apply from inside Canada. Well, if you are a visitor in Canada, you of course cannot apply for a study permit from inside Canada. So the idea is that you can be residing, living in Canada, but the application forms that you're using should be of the one which is outside Canada for the processing outside Canada. Again, don't know what we are referring to here. Probability to get a vulnerable open work permit. Well, the probability depends on, are you actually a vulnerable person or not? Were you really harassed? Were you really abused? Do you really have proof? What has happened is over the last year or so, the number of people who are applying for vulnerable open work permit has shot through the roof because everybody thinks if there is nothing else to apply, let's apply for vulnerable. And earlier, when IRCC was more flexible and more easier to sort of work with, they would potentially approve a lot of applications. Not so much right now. So when you're asking me a probability, to understand the probability, first we have to know what is the basis to make a vulnerable application. If there is no basis, that's probably the reason why you would ask that. But if there is no basis, then the chances are you will get refused. But if you have strong evidence, strong proof that you really were put in a position, whether it was mental harassment, physical harassment, or any kind of harassment, or where the employer was not sticking to its terms of your employment. And we are talking about closed work permits. This doesn't apply to open work permit holders. So if you're a postgraduate work permit holder, you can't apply for a vulnerable open work permit because you're already on an open work permit. Open to open, you can't apply for a vulnerable. This is primarily for the closed work permit holders who get harassed, who get abused, or whose situations are abused because they're on a closed work permit. So those have the option of applying for a vulnerable open work permit, provided they're able to establish and prove their situation. Okay. Got my PR after 2 years long process. It took Ontario to issue 8 months and 15 months for non-express entry. A lot of complications, but your life definitely helped. Thank you for everything. This is what brings smiles for me. This is something which motivates me as well to keep coming back and doing this. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I wish you all the very best and congratulations. All right. Let's look at these questions here. Okay. In a cash paid foreign experience, I don't have bank statements and ITR. So what is the list of documents I need to prove? Well, the thing is, if it's a cash work experience, you obviously don't have bank statements and tax returns. If you're getting paid in cash, who is paying taxes anyways, right? Nobody is paying taxes. So you will not have your bank. I mean, there are people who are now creating tax returns now. They're filing backdated tax returns to prove to IRCC they were getting paid in cash. IRCC is not that, what is the word? Stupid. If you're going to pay taxes, or rather, if you're going to file tax returns backdated just to prove you are being paid in cash, it doesn't prove you are being paid in cash. Tax returns is not a mandatory document in the sense of that you have to be paying your taxes. Tax returns are identified as proof of compensation or payment because it indicates that you are being paid a salary, and that you may have your employer's name through Form 16s, etc. But in your case, if you do not have bank statements and income tax returns, you should probably have a pay slips or a pay stub, which again for cash salaries is a bit weird, because if a company is paying you salary in cash, then which company is going to give you a pay stub, right? But so payment vouchers, cash vouchers, debit vouchers, kind of a payment register that you might be signing on, or an employer giving you an affidavit stating that, like a wage statement, monthly they gave you this much salary, each month this date they have paid you so much, like a wage statement, affidavit from the employer, or a salary certificate. These would probably be the documents you would provide for your salary. After getting work permit extension refusal, should I wait for IT and apply for bridge open work permit plus restoration, or immediately apply for visitor record? Well, after you get a refusal, you have 90 days. If you do get an ITA, if you are able to submit your PR application within those 90 days with an AOR, then to apply for bridge and restoration. I mean, restoration and bridge. That would make more sense. If not, then a visitor record, you can apply for it to restore your status as a visitor. CA internship stipend paid, check 1,500, lump sum in one check, have bank statement but no salary slip or ITR. What proof needed? Well, proof, you can provide copies of your checks, you can provide copies of your bank statement, your employer can give you in writing. Now, I have a problem with the word stipend. Stipend usually refers to as compensation paid for expenses. I haven't seen IRCC taking any objection to it yet, but this could be another one that could be on their radar coming down soon. So if you can avoid the word stipend in your employment reference letter, but otherwise bank statements or a copy of a check, if you have it, then that should go. I mean, that should work well. Or you can also get a salary certificate along with all these documents. Got an AOS ITA. Would working 2 jobs, one full-time in Alberta, one contract full-time in the US be an issue? No, it shouldn't be an issue. If you're working for an employer outside Canada, that's of no concern to Alberta. As long as you have your employer support for Alberta opportunity, that should be good. Current postgraduate work permit and TRV is expiring on 12th June, and I have T13 work permit in processing. Can I travel to India, come back on 8th June before expiry? Yes, you can. As long as you have a TRV, you can return back. And then once you return back, and because you are on a maintained, you will have a valid work permit, which will expire after you come back. Then after that, you will be on maintained status until the processing. Nothing here. Employer not giving salary certificate. Well, again, at the end of the day, it is your responsibility to prove that you were paid. So you would need a document which says, or you can wait for IRCC to ask you. But nowadays, I'm not going to wait for IRCC to ask me anything. I would always provide upfront. So you will have to talk to your employer, figure out something that shows that your salary was paid. Thank you. Can we update number of hours of employment from 40 to 45 after receiving ITA? Also, does knock code or any information of expired e-profile matter? 40 to 45, you can update. That's not a problem. It's not going to make any difference whatsoever because IRCC is looking for 30. That is the minimum for full time. Knock code or any information on expired profile matters if it is going to be completely different than what you have claimed earlier and what you're going to claim now. It's entirely on two different sides of the world, and it's going to make a difference. But if it is something which you can explain that you were unsure about earlier, you chose the wrong code, now you're correcting it, you're making the changes, then that should be fine. Does QC's new 12-month work permit extension for PSTQ applications apply to PGWP holders? Please explain this program in detail to comments on how it works. I don't know because I'm not licensed in Quebec. I do not follow Quebec programs. So my information is very, very restricted and limited. I would recommend you please check the Quebec immigration website. If postgraduate work permit, spouse open work permit filed together, is spouse open work permit refusal guaranteed since primary can't work on the day of the application, though tier 1 job 3 pay stub were sent later? I am not sure what you are referring to here. So when you say since primary can't work on the day of the application, no, I'm not able to understand what you're referring to. I hope you would have sent your employment offer on the day of the application. But the way the law works here is that as long as you have provided IRCC a document before they have made a decision, then they are obligated to consider those documents. So therefore, in this case, I would be quite hopeful that this would go through all right. CEC ITA at 11 months, submit after 12 months, 60 days. Yes, absolutely. If you get your ITA sooner than you have completed your work experience, but you are able to complete your work experience within those 60 days after you get your ITA, then you should continue and you should submit your application after completing your valid period of work. But this is only for Canadian experience or federal skilled worker class. For category class or category draws, this is now changed. For categories, you must have 12 months of experience at the time you receive your ITA. Otherwise, you're not a member of those category class. So therefore, please be aware that that doesn't apply to the categories. But as a Canadian experience class, for your Canadian experience or federal skilled worker, for a federal skilled worker, for a foreign work experience, then if you get your ITA sooner, then you can continue with the ITA as long as you're able to complete that work experience within the 60 days. Got ITA on 21 June, cutoff 509, profile is 2 year. 2 year ends March 17. I'm not sure what you're asking. Plan to move year 1 to personal history, submit after March 17, new CRS 520. Will IRCC profile ineligible without year 1 at ITA time? I honestly am not sure what you're trying to ask me here. At the end of the day, by the time you submit your PR application, you must be eligible in express entry as per the class that you're being invited. So if it's Canadian experience class, you should be eligible for Canadian experience class, and you should have the points for which you have received your ITA, and at the time you're submitting the application, the points should be equal to or more than that drawn score. Chances of next CEC of 520 or less in March or April, I would say pretty decent chances, fingers crossed. Submitted my PR file in Jan, both my spouse and I are promoted. Our knock and tier remains the same. Should we update IRCC through that form? No, you don't need to. Absolutely not required. There is no obligation for you to update IRCC about your employment changes in a Canadian experience class express entry PR application. Not required. If it was a non-express entry and there was a change in your employment, then depending on the nomination that you have from the province, there could be a requirement to update IRCC. But in an express entry application, there is no requirement. Employer letter says part-time, average 32 hours, not minimum hours. Payslips has 64 hours for 2 weeks. Employer won't correct. How can I proceed? You can add a letter of explanation. You can make a full list of all your paychecks or pay periods and show how many hours you worked for each 2 weeks and calculate it accordingly. And then you can add it to your your documents for your work experience and show that you have indeed worked for at least 30 hours each week. Waiting for postgraduate work permit extension due to passport expiry. Processing time is 259. I'm at 251. Need TRV to travel home. What if it exceeds processing time? Well, nothing. You can raise a web form, request it, but that's it. You can't do anything else. You will have to wait till you get the approval or the decision. Nothing else you can do about it, unfortunately. Can't continued. PP expiry, also waiting for spouse open work permit extension, applied together. Need to apply TRV. What should I do if her spouse open work permit paper is delayed? Well, as I said, you can't apply for TRV until you get your open work permits approved. And until it is approved, unfortunately, you can't do anything. And you can't do anything to expedite. You can go and speak to your member of parliament and see if they can figure out why your application hasn't moved. But other than that, unfortunately, you can't. If you have to really travel, you travel. Once you get your work permits approved, then you can apply for TRV from outside Canada. But it can take longer depending on which country you might go to and what the processing times are. We submitted a PR file in 463 health draw in November, where I'm primary applicant, and my wife got IT in 509 CEC draw, where I am the accompanying spouse. So can we submit 2 files to increase odds of PR? Yes, you can. Whichever application gets processed first, you will be either asked to withdraw the other one, or they will just simply proceed with one and send you your P1, and then you proceed with that and withdraw the other one. Yeah, but well done with 2 shots at the game. Received OINP in-demand occupation stream nomination in September, applied for PR through non-express entry PR portal, but still no AOR. My nomination certificate expires in 2 days. What should I do? Nothing at all. So since you've already applied for PR, your expiry of nomination has no relevance anymore. Please don't worry. The current processing times for a non-express entry application is roughly 18 to 22 months as of right now. And to get an AOR itself, it's about 11 months currently. So hopefully you should get your AOR soon. And depending on that, you should be fine. But your nomination certificate expiring is of no consequence. Please don't worry. I have 1 month unpaid travel to India in middle of employment. Finish 16 months. Should I include this personal or just travel history is enough? Travel history is enough for 1 month. It's not a problem. If you want to show this period as unpaid, unemployed, then it will go in your personal history section. But since you have 16 months of work experience, this 1 month is not going to make much of a difference. CC from Montreal plan to move, but continue working remotely. If I take short-term lease or sublet in Ontario for about 4 months, would that be an issue when proving my intention to live? Absolutely, it'll be an issue. If you're taking a short-term lease, it basically means you don't want to live in that location. You actually want to move back to Quebec. So a short-term lease will definitely raise a question as to why is it short-term? Do you not want to stay there anymore, or are you planning to move back, or are you only showing this lease just for the purposes of PR? So it can backfire big time. Applied for PR under non-express entry with a provincial nomination, have 13 months left on my work permit. How long does AOR usually take, and 13 months safe, or should I arrange a backup option? 13 months should be safe, in my opinion. And I think, as I was just telling earlier, that it is taking roughly about 10 to 11 months to get an AOR on non-express entry. Hopefully you should get yours soon. I applied for CAC. I submitted T4 for 24. Recently, I got T4 for 25. Should I send them through the web form? Yes, you should. Absolutely. Is 302 points sufficient in French? Well, difficult to say. And I can't tell you yes or no. If they do conduct another draw and invite a huge, big number of people, then yeah, it should be fine. Otherwise, if I was you, I would try and increase my score and try to stay above 400. Any chance to get new bill? I got an appointment. Unfortunately, couldn't make it because of storm in Newfoundland. Is it valid reason? Yes, it's a valid reason, depending on when your period has expired. Please make sure you inform IRCC quickly, because if 30 days have passed and you still haven't completed your biometrics, then IRCC has a good reason to refuse your application and there would be no reconsideration. So please, at the earliest, the minute you are seeing this right now, send a web form to IRCC, Give them the reason and explain the whole situation and ask them to send you a new biometrics request so that you can complete it at the earliest. Study permit 2022 listed work as 2014-2022 by mistake. Actual work was 2016 to 2022 as studied post for PR, only claim 2019. Correct timeline was stated in SOP. So what's the question? Well, I mean, I don't know what the question is, but yeah, I'm not sure what your question is. So please, if you think there is any confusion in your timeline, then please add a letter of explanation. Showed 2123 unemployment letter. Can I change it to 21221 in EAPR post ITA? Job duties are kind of in between and aligned to both. Yes, you can. You're showing a knock code in the employment letter does not make any difference because IRCC does not go with the knock code that is mentioned in the letter. They go as per the duties and responsibilities, and that is what they accept. PGWP refused for wrong IELTS, 180 days passed now. Well, that is unfortunate, but there is nothing much you can do. You can reapply for postgraduate work permit with restoration, request. IRCC's 100% discretion whether they will accept it or not, or you change your status to a visitor, or you leave Canada, or you apply for a new study permit. HCCEC PSW NOC should add CPR certification or no? No, it doesn't add. Transport category, like what do you think the CRS will be about 430, same as for NOC 0, because online speculation is about 430 on Reddit. I mean, on what basis is it at 430? Please tell me. Whoever is making these speculations on Reddit, do they know how many people are there in the pool? Do they already know how many invitations will be issued? If you're going to ask me, I don't know. And therefore, I cannot give you a number as to what the draw will be at transport category, because to have those kind of speculation, you should know how many invitations will be issued and how many people are there in the pool to have a more intelligent, guesstimate at this one. Unfortunately, I don't have that. Working as a data analyst at a small Canadian firm, T4 issued last year. Does it raise any concern? No, why should it be a concern? When you get a new T4 for this year, just raise a web form and send it to IRCC. Joined my company as insurance broker, but received my insurance license in August. When should I create my profile? Well, how could you work as a broker if you did not have license? That is going to be the question that IRCC is going to ask. If you were working just as a trainee, then you were working as a trainee. So the point is going to be that as long as you can prove that you were actually working, then you can show it from July. But the point is going to be that if you did not have the license, then how are you working as a broker? So my recommendation is for the July first month or the first 1 or 2 months, you can show yourself as a trainee. You can probably choose a different knock code, maybe in admin, and then the remaining you can choose as broker, depending on what your roles and responsibilities were. But it's quite simple. IRCC is going to ask a simple question that if you're not licensed, how could you be working? Therefore, they may not accept your work experience. So please be aware of that. LOE regarding along with IME stating exemption policy is question mark. Yes, the answer is yes. How long does IRCC take to respond a web form as I requested for super visa passport submission extension? 15 days left out of 30. What if they don't? They usually will, depending on what is the reason you have requested for extension. But I know they are not very, very quick to give you a response. But if you have a confirmation that you did ask for it and they have received the web form, you can also call IRCC. You can also check with them, have they received the web form or not. If not, then raise another web form so that it remains on record that you have requested for extension. But stay positive, you will get it. AORCEC got GCMS, found that date of birth is wrong on biometric. Only criminality and information sharing is in progress. Rest all done. What do we do? You can raise a web form. I like your name, Kubeir Fan Group. Thank you so much. You can raise a web form. You can inform IRCC that they have noticed that this was the error. And if IRCC wants you to do your biometrics again, then you're willing to do so. But let IRCC know that this was the error and they should correct it at your end. But please don't worry too much about it. They will rectify it on their end once they have confirmed it. But from your side, you can raise a web form. Have CEC ITA also received AIP endorsement? This is great. You have CEC ITA, you have AIP endorsement. This is awesome. Well, AIP endorsement has a time limit, so you may be able to apply for it later on. God forbid something goes wrong. For the time being, you have an ITA with CEC. Absolutely proceed with that. AIP will take a very long time, so you might want to wait until that. Follow your track, keep a track of your CEC application, keep an eye on it to see where it is going. And if everything is going fine, then you can let go of your AIP. Got CAC AOR before my work permit extension was rejected. I am now on restoration. Should I inform IRCC about work permit rejection? Oh, you mean for your PR application? No, it's not required. Again, if you wish to raise a web form, by all means do, but it's not required because any refusals, rejections you get after your PR application is already submitted, there is no obligation for you to inform IRCC. So it's not really required. Nothing there. Applying for inland PNP while waiting for TRP, going to be very, very difficult because you are a person who is out of status. So if you're trying to do that, please ensure you inform IRCC about it, and you will be seen as inadmissible for non-compliance. So be very careful with this whole situation. 464 healthcare have a chance next draw. I don't know. I don't know how many people are there in the pool, and I do not know how many invitations they will issue. Fingers crossed. I hope they do conduct a draw soon and invite, because last time they have issued a lot of wrong invitations to people who shouldn't have been receiving an invitation because they didn't really have 12 months of experience. So I'm hoping that they conduct one soon and invite more people. PCC applying next week. Can I take a short trip to USA? Oh, well, you can. If you haven't applied for PCC, then you can take a short trip, come back, and then apply for PCC. I work as bookkeeper at minimum wage for 27-year-old firm. Does that experience count for CZ? It's less than 5 people. Yes, absolutely. Number of people working does not matter. Absolutely, that work experience will count. Data analyst, a company with 2 to 3 employees, companies registered but not on LinkedIn, receive force yearly basis. But does it sound concerns? It's not a concern. Just 2 or 3. Even if there is only 1 employee and you are that employee, even that is legit. There is no problem with it, as long as the work experience is genuine and you can prove it. How risky is it to change knock after ITA? I chose it on the basis of title, and now I realize another knock matches. Absolutely fine. There is no issues. You can change your knock code, but do add a letter of explanation because of the way IRCC is nowadays. So just add a letter of explanation, very briefly stating you have changed your knock code because of this and this reason, and there is no problem. Please, by all means, change your knock code. Of course, right? If your previous knock code was a doctor and now you're saying you're an engineer, this kind of variation is bound to raise a concern. But if you've previously chosen a bookkeeper, but you think it's an accountant knock code, makes sense. If you were earlier a software engineer, but now you want to change it to a software developer, makes sense. If you had earlier chosen business development officer, but you think it is more closely matching to a consultant who is doing more social media work, makes sense. But any variations where you are showing yourself earlier as a welder, now you want to show yourself as a cook, that is going to raise a big concern, big red flags. So be careful with that one. Next, score in skill trade. How many people are in? I have no idea. People keep asking me for scores. I don't know because I don't know how many people are in the pool with that particular scores. Left India for Canada, stayed in US for 10 days for family visit before coming to Canada for studies. How should this be shown in address history? Well, this will be shown in address history as in you having traveled to US for 10 days and then you having traveled from the US to Canada after that. So, and if you're in Canada still, then your Canada trip will be shown as ongoing and the US will be shown for 10 days. So that's how you will show it. I received a postgraduate work permit via flagpole. I had valid US visa. Do I need to show it while creating express entry profile, and how to show it? You will need to show it in your travel history, 1-day travel, you will show it as flagpoling. And in your statutory declaration, you will have to show it as an administrative refusal and show it as flagpoling. Even if you had a US visa, you didn't really go to US. You were turned around. You came back from the US border and they did not allow you to come inside Canada. So that is still considered as your administrative refusal. So please ensure to show it in your statutory declaration in your PR application. Received ITA Feb at 10.5 months, accept or reject. I would reject because IRCC has been very clear that if you do not have 12 months of experience at the time you got an ITA for category draws, then you are not eligible to get one. Well, this was fun. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. As usual, you guys have been a great audience and you keep pouring in your love. Thank you so much for continuing to join me on these live streams. I know we have not been very punctual on some of these weekends. That is because I've had a lot of work to finish and a lot of things to do, and therefore I've had to sort of delay during the day. But thank you for continuing to join me, and I'll be very happy to continue. I'll just take this last question before I scoot off. Joined as broker, licensed in August. What would be the simplest way to deal with the discrepancy without extra documents? Well, either you show your work experience from August and continue with that, and you can always say, well, you joined in July, but you got your license in August, you're claiming your work experiences in from August onwards. That would be the easiest and the simplest way to show this discrepancy. Well, thank you so much. I wish you guys all the very best and stay forever hopeful. Take care. I shall see you next time.